does Mike Brown have the gravitas to manage down? Does he have the temperament to manage up?
All right, so let's start with Mike Brown's past experience that makes him good for this job. He's coached the biggest superstar in the game, right?
Yes.
So at the heights of it, like going to conference finals, winning 60 games, et cetera, et cetera. And he's coached a ornery down, like kind of turning down superstar Kobe Bryant in Los Angeles, a market that is unforgiving and has a high standard, right? So in terms of many of the names they talked about, how many of them have experience in the so to speak, in the real trenches? Don't give me. Not saying Mark Dagnall was the name, but like don't give me Mark Dagnall. Oh, he's done a great job. That's not the you. This isn't that same. This is not that job, right?
Right.
This dude has lived it. He's seen it. He's prepared for it. In a way, so Taylor Jenkins, who I think is a really good coach, deserves another opportunity. But I'd have questions. Taylor Jenkins, are you ready for this monster? Is this type of fan base, this type of media market, this type of ownership? Let's say it. All of these things, man, are not of a typical NBA experience. And so I like that Mike Brown has that experience. I like that Mike Brown went to Golden State and came out of that situation with a better understanding of how I should be coaching. We don't give coaches enough credit, Vinny, in terms of their growth. I heard people arguing about Jason Kidd, for example, using examples from when he was in Brooklyn. Like, oh, you mean when he was coaching for the first time? You don't think in the decade plus he might have picked up a thing or two, right? We would never say that about a 19-year-old rookie 5 years later. Why are we saying this about a coach? So I think Mike Brown has definitely grown as a coach from what he was in Cleveland to what he was in Sacramento. I thought he did an excellent job in Sacramento. Now, here's the fun part. Managing up and managing down. Now, managing down, the difference between Sacramento and New York is I think he's walking into a locker room of soldiers, of guys who are ready to, they've been coached hard, they like being coached hard, they're not strangers to it. So Mike Brown's style is not going to come as...
Do they like being coached hard?
Look, I don't get the... Let me put it this way. Everybody I talk to, do they have complaints about Tibbs? Of course. Everyone has complaints about every coach. Guys at the Warriors have complaints about Steve Kerr. Everyone has complaints about every coach. Just like your parents. You love your parents, but like, oh, mom, really? We all do it, right? But was it, get this guy out of here? No. That certainly wasn't the sentiment in that locker room. And so, again, I don't think Mike Brown is on Tom Thibodeau's level of inflexibility. I think he's more flexible, but I do think he is an attention to detail guy. And I think those guys are willing and able to be coached in that way. And way more willing, way more bought in a way that Sacramento, that group was not. Particularly your star player.
Oh, yeah, that's that is an excellent point from you about that in particular. But go ahead. Go ahead, continue.
So, Jalen Brunson, you're not going to have a whole lot of arguments with him about doing things a certain way. Now, the part that might be difficult, which is the part that probably led to Mike Brown's dismissal in Sacramento. Did he manage up? And particularly, did he manage up not to his general manager, not to Monty Morris at the time, or not to Monty McNair, not to Wes Wilcox, not even to Vlade Divac, who is the shadow hanging around, even though they exercise that demon, he's still kind of haunting the premises. No, all the way up. All the way up. And that's where Mike Brown failed, and that's where Tom Thibodeau allegedly failed. Did not manage all the way up. And so them folks in the front office, they ain't going to protect you, bro. So Mike Brown, in essence, is walking into a situation. I've got to get these guys bought in. I think that's going to happen. No big deal. I've got to do it in a way that makes the front office more comfortable with the minutes played and the rotations and all that. And they've helped them. Yabusele as a signing It's definitely helped. Jordan Clarkson as a signing. It's definitely helped, giving them some depth. But then over all of that, there's a guy upstairs who wakes up one day and is like, "Oh, I don't like you've got to be able to manage that one." There's some glad handing in that job. There's some like there's oh yeah, what time's your band playing? Yeah, no, I'll come check it. I'll bring the guys with me. That's part of the job. It sounds ridiculous. I mean, that doesn't matter. This is New York. All I got to tell you is that dude got that team to the conference finals for the first time in 25 years, and they told him, hit the bricks. So don't tell me that's not part of the job. It is absolutely part of the job.
It's a huge part of the job. It is a bigger part of the job than people want to give it credit for because they act like James Dolan is some invalid who does not make decisions when clearly he is the driving force. As reported by me, he was the driving force behind Tom Thibodeau being fired. Okay? Now, here's the part that I look at. And I don't think this is a Mike Brown failing, and I don't think this was a Tom Thibodeau failing. I do not think you can make a considerable run to the NBA Finals with defensive liabilities at the point of attack and at the rim. I've never seen it. Jalen Brunson, Karl Towns. I've never seen an instance where at the two most critical positions on the floor, both of those guys are the marks. And I don't know if Mike Brown can do anything about that. I just think there is a flaw in how the New York Knicks are built in the moment.
I think ultimately defense is a contextual thing. I don't have to be the 94 Knicks. I just got to be good enough in moments. I got to, as Dan D'Antoni once famously said, the best defense is the team that scored more points. Right? Let's be real, right? Like, they're so crushing. Yeah, we beat them though. So if I can score more than they can, that means my defense was better. Even if I'm known as the offensive team and they're known as a defensive team, it means my ability to stop you surpass your ability to stop me. That's the name of the game. And so I think it's difficult. What you're describing is absolutely difficult. They don't put themselves in a position of strength, but I think there are ways around it. And I think ultimately, when you get to the playoffs, the chess match begins. And so it becomes, I can't have both of them at the same time for extended periods. Okay. Swap them out. One on, one off, one on, one off. And do that as much as you can. And obviously, everyone else on the floor has to be stellar. And we've got to have systems, and we got to adhere to systems, and we have to. So one of the things is like Karl Towns. Like it's not just poor defensive player. It's like you're poor team defensive player. We want you to greet the ball. You're set. Like these are things that again need to be communicated. Now, if you're Tom Thibodeau, I don't know whether he was allowed to, whether he felt unafraid. I do know that as a new head coach coming in, you get to request things and demand things of guys that like people are more willing to listen to because you're new.
Right.
As opposed to you've been here and like, man, I ain't doing that. So I think if Mike Brown comes in and is like, look, Karl, we need you. We need you to be able to defend this and do this and all that. I think that's different than coming in like, hey, I just got here yesterday. All right, man, I need you. There's a big difference between having a whole summer and a full training camp to do that versus first day of camp I walked in and I'm still introducing myself to people and they're already telling me I got to change the way I defend and everything.